Hello and welcome to the Sunday Guardian show by Joyeeta Basu. I'm the editor of the newspaper, the Sunday Guardian. You will find the link of the newspaper's website in the comment section. Today I want to discuss Mr. Tucker Carlson, one of the very knowledgeable hosts of the United States' Fox News channel. Now he believes that the British gave India civilization. Yes, you heard me right, he said that. Now at the same time, what I'm going to talk about in the next few minutes is not just about Tucker Carlson. Now the debate surrounding British colonialism and India has been top of the mind for most of us Indians in recent times. Now with the nation crossing the milestone of 75 years of independence, the inauguration of the Central Vista, which is now known as the Kartavya path, the path of duty that is, and then the death of Queen Elizabeth II. Now the debate is about the nature of British colonialism. Was it benign? Was it toxic? Should we feel grateful to the British for what we are? In fact, I keep hearing from a section of Indians that we should not forget that it was the British Raj that gave us the bureaucracy, the railways, the Indian Army, in short, the system. Now they say that we cannot ignore history. Now Tucker Carlson also approaches the topic from a similar angle. In one of his shows recently, now he was criticizing the Joe Biden government's pull out from Afghanistan and was praising the British as people who took their colonial responsibilities seriously and ruled with decency unmatched by any empire in human history. Now according to him, the English didn't just take things from India, they added. Now he went on to say that the British not only gave India a civilization, but also a language, a legal system, schools, churches and public buildings, all of which are still in use today. Now and then he showed a photograph of Victoria Terminus, now known as Chhatrapati Shivaji Terminus, the rail station in Mumbai, and said that even Washington did not have such a station. Now he went on to add that in 75 years of its independence, India has not been able to build such an architectural marvel. Okay, to me this eulogizing of the British as the spreader of civilization and knowledge now seems to be stemming from an inherent racial bias that many in the West have towards those they call people of color. Now if you are from the East as we are, then we are not civilized. In fact, the uncivilized East must be enlightened was the argument given by those who colonized India by their cunning and by taking advantage of the divisions within the country or by betraying and backstabbing those who trusted them. And then they bled us dry. Now in 2022, we know that the British looted $45 trillion from India in today's value. Now during the 2 centuries that they ruled, 2 centuries of humiliation, as External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar has described it. Now this loot became apparent, interestingly, more than 100 years ago and was brought to public notice by Dadabhai Nauroji, R.C. Dutt and others. Now in a book called Poverty and Un-British Rule in India, published in 1901, they wrote about, quote unquote, the drain theory or the drain of wealth theory. Now it's about the economic model developed by the British and the institutes built by the British to bleed the Indian colony dry and build at home with resources from the colony. In return, the colony got nothing. Now it has been shown by politician and author Shashi Tharoor that Britain's industrial revolution was built on India's back, with resources from India and at the cost of Indian manufacturing. Now, no wonder India, which had roughly 25% share of the world GDP before the British came, had less than 1% share when they left India in 1947. I mean, this is plunder. Where is the British decency in all this? As for the institutions that the British built, of which we are supposed to be so proud of and gratified. Actually, we should be grateful. Now, they were built to serve their own interests. If the British built a civil service, it was because they needed the so-called steel frame to rule this country. And this colonial era steel frame is the biggest hurdle in India's rapid march to progress. The red tapes and the mandarins with a colonial mindset who continue to behave as if they own the country. Now, much is made of the British gifting the railways to India and the Indian Army. Now, it is recorded history that the railways were built for the easy transportation of India's resources to the ports from where they would be shipped to England. Now, are we supposed to believe that Indians who, before the British came, were among the richest in the world, would not have been able to get the railways to the country at a time when the world was adopting new technology? Now, as for the British Indian Army, India provided 2.5 million soldiers to fight on behalf of the Allied forces in the Second World War. 25 lakh soldiers. I mean, it was not our war, but over 85,000 of our people laid down their lives for their British masters. And it was because the British realized that they were losing control of the military that they finally left India. Now, if the soldiers were so grateful to their British masters, why was there unrest? And why is it that on the subcontinent only the Indian Army stayed inside their barracks without trying to take control of power, unlike in Pakistan and Bangladesh? So it is India that built the Indian Army, not the British. And then think of the millions who died because of the mostly man-made famines that took place during British rule. Now, the Bengal famine of 1943 alone killed 4 million people, and all because of bad policy and diversion of resources to keep British efforts alive in the Second World War. So, loot, plunder, cheating, discrimination, inhuman treatment, massacre, genocide. And then we are being told that we have to be grateful that the British civilized us, that they were decent people, benign colonialists. And if we are talking about education, the education that British brought us, let's not forget, yes, they did it. At the same time, they gave us an English system of education while trying to destroy all that was Indian. Now, we were told that our ancient knowledge, philosophies, art, scientific discoveries, our languages did not matter. We were turned into brown sahibs. We were made to lose touch with our roots. We were told to hate our roots. And as a nation, we are yet to come out of that colonial era mindset. Now, the reason why this redevelopment of the central vista in the heart of New Delhi as Kartavya Path, the path of duty, including the building of the new parliament, is so important. For it reconnects us to our 5,000-year-old civilization. It symbolizes a break from our colonial past. As for Mr. Tucker Carlson, who believes that the architecture of a train station is symbolic of the civilization that the British supposedly gave to India, I mean, he should have done his homework on the thousands of years of India's history, the many architectural manifestations of which are still strewn across the country. Now, if in his limited understanding, buildings are supposed to signify the greatness of a civilization, modern India has a fair share of such buildings too. He just had to Google by typing in the right keywords. So, as Indians, don't ever let anyone tell you that you are where you are, overtaking the British as the world's 5th largest economy because of the foundation laid by the British. In fact, we are where we are in spite of the British, not because of them. Lastly, buy some books on India's history and send them to Tucker Carlson.